Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to share some pertinent information for persons or students who will be coming to Canada, whether it's going to be now or sometime next year or sometime in the future. This information remains the same, it will not change. So somebody in my comment section in one of my videos asked me to do this video about accommodation. I think her name is Belinda. I think that's her name. I actually told her that I wasn't able to do the video until about 2 weeks from now because I have exams preparing for. But then I found some time today and I decided that I would do the video. So what a lot of persons don't know is that it is really challenging to find accommodation when you're coming to Canada. Like, when I say challenging, I mean challenging with a capital C, like literally challenging. And I know for some persons it might not be challenging because they might have somebody where they will be searching for houses that would be able to verify those houses for them. But for persons like myself and others who don't have anybody here, it was challenging. Like, I am going to be honest, Nadarni, thank you so much. You were able to help me, and you don't even know me at the time. We met on a Facebook group and she was willing to go an extra mile for me to look at places for me. So I just want to say, big up yourself, Nads. I really appreciate it. But even though she was able to verify some of the places for me, sometimes she has work and by the time she gets to the place, they would already be gone, like literally no longer available. So I am going to encourage students to try and find houses as soon as possible. Like, sometimes it's too early to look because nobody's gonna put down a property for you. You're not coming to Canada like until 2-3 months time. But when it's time, like at least 6 weeks before you arrive in Canada, please make sure that you start to look houses. And sometimes the houses that are posted, it posts with they post it like say December, but it's not available until February or January month end. In that case, we can reach out to the owners of those properties. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense. But I'm just gonna jump into the video. The first thing is, I don't know about the colleges that you guys are going or applying to, but I know for Cape Breton University, that's where I am going, and they have an off-campus housing site. So it was easy for us to like look up because these houses were already verified before they post them on their website. So if you see something on this website that you're interested in, you can go ahead and contact the person. Please make sure to call. Don't just send emails, like call as well. So when you see a property posted that you're interested in, you can just call or both call and email together, whichever works for you. And you don't have to actually get somebody to view these properties. You can ask a person to do a virtual tour if you want to see like how the place is set up, or you can ask them for photos. But the thing is, these places are already verified, so you don't have to think about being scammed. So that's one. The next best housing option is from your school, so on-campus living. Living on campus tends to be a bit expensive than living off campus. But what you actually can do is try to do like a short term, like a 3 months lease agreement with the school, and take the on-campus living arrangement for your first 3 months. Because in this way, you don't have to worry about getting scammed either, because it is school. And the thing is, like, a lot of persons tend not to like on-campus housing because of how expensive they are. But like I said, a 3 months lease agreement would be fine. You can just live out the 3 months, and then when it's time, when it's winding down to your last month, then you can try to find something else that is within your budget. but you don't want to like try to find somewhere randomly and then you get scammed and then you come to Canada and you don't have anywhere to stay. So outside of the off-campus verified houses and the on-campus housing, there's also the option of doing Airbnb. Like, depending on the province that you're going, I know Nova Scotia, when I was coming, I was actually looking at Airbnb and it was quite expensive. Like, the amount that I would pay for like 5 to 6 days would be the amount that I would have paid for a month rent. And but I know personally, like my friend in Manitoba, he uses Airbnb when he was coming up, and it was really cheap, like really cheap compared to what I would have paid here. So I recommend you to do one of those 3, but if none of those work for you, then I'm going to tell you about 2 platforms that you can use to search for houses. But before I go to those 2 platforms, then I'm also going to tell you about rental agreement. So rental agreement is very important. Once you're renting somewhere, I think what you can do is search for the Canadian Tenancy Act. It is online. That's what I downloaded and that's what I was reading, so I know what is right, what the landlord is asking for, if there's any suspicions or anything, because it tells you that, okay, if the landlord is increasing your rent, they cannot increase it for more than 10% of what you're already paying. It also tells that your security deposit should not exceed more than half of your rent. So there are a lot of things that it talks about. So you need to read it so you know your rights. It can be very difficult living in a foreign country and not knowing your rights. Worse when you have no families or anyone here with you. By the way, if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my pointers so I cover everything and I don't leave out anything. So with that being said, you can also search for houses on Kijiji. I am pretty sure that once you are in the process of applying, or if you already applied to come to Canada or you're doing your research, you would have come across Kijiji. So this is a good platform that you can search for properties. And the thing with Kijiji, it is very competitive. So as soon as you see a house job, you just need to run on it. You need to call, you need to email. Some of the people or the persons per se would tell you that text only or email only or call only. So if they say that they're not accepting calls, don't call, just send an email or a text message. But if they don't specify the method of communication, I'll say call, text, send emails, because it is very competitive out there when you're trying to find houses. Like, I literally remember when I was coming here, up to a week and a half before I came here, I wasn't able to secure any accommodation. At one point in time, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to reschedule my flight to give myself an additional week to find something. Like, literally, I found somewhere one point in time, but that place, the bus schedule, you need to check the bus schedule. So wherever you're gonna be staying, which province you're gonna go, you're gonna have to, when you find somewhere, please check it on Google Maps so you know the distance to and from school. You know all the bus systems, because like that place that I found initially, the bus runs every 2 hours. So if I have a 9 o'clock class, I would have to leave from 7 a.m. And I was like, if you don't catch a 7 a.m. bus, you would have to catch the 9 o'clock bus. By the time you catch that 9 o'clock bus, your class will be finished by the time you reach the school. So that's a no-no. So make sure you do your research promptly. You read, ask questions when you don't know, and just get the right information. So with Kijiji now, it is a good platform, like I said earlier. You just have to be on top of your game. You can turn on your notifications so you're notified when a new property is posted. And please, you can go back through your through the postings, because sometimes these properties are still not yet rented. You can go back to the older postings as well and just send an email. Hey, I am such and such, I am from Jamaica or whichever country you are from, and I will be arriving in Canada on X date, and I saw this property that I'm interested in. Is this property still available? And if it is available, what's the process, what's the procedure of me viewing? Or you have to email and write. And outside of Kijiji, there is Facebook Marketplace. I think Kijiji is a bit more legit than Facebook Marketplace, or reliable per se. Whenever I reach out to persons on Facebook Marketplace, like, they take forever to respond, and by the time they respond, they're like, oh, this place is already gone, or it was taken, or they never responded any at all. So I'm gonna tell you, I almost got scammed when I was trying to find accommodation. Like, yeah, I saw this property on Facebook Marketplace, and it was like $850 for the rent, and it was a 1-bedroom apartment and everything. And when I reached out to this person, the person said yes, it was still available. And then I was like, but how is this 1-bedroom apartment so cheap for $850 and it's still available? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna give it a try anyways. I emailed her and I told her that I was interested in everything. She responded, and I asked her for a lease agreement, which she said she would have sent to me the following day. And I also was asking her about viewing the property. She never responded, but she sent me the lease agreement. So when she sent me the lease agreement, I said, hey, I was asking you if this property is available for viewing, because I have somebody living in Nova Scotia in Sydney that could view this property for me. And she was like, I'm not living close to the property is not close to me, and whatever. And I was like, okay, it doesn't have to be today, but can you arrange for someone to come and view this property for me? And she didn't respond until later on in the day. I sent her some question marks, and she responded telling me that she has a video on her phone that she could share with me. I was like, lady, I am not asking you for a video. A video doesn't prove anything. I want to send someone to view the property. And she was really not cooperative with someone viewing the property. And then I got suspicious about the whole thing. And then I was like, okay then she messaged me about 2 hours after, asking me if to make the deposit, because there are other persons that is interested in the property and everything. And I was saying, well, if I can't send someone to view this property, then I cannot make a deposit. So I can sign the lease agreement and then make the payment. A matter of fact, before I even get there, it wasn't only a security deposit that she was asking me to pay. She was asking for a security deposit, and she was also asking for she was also asking for the first month rent. I found it strange because I read the Tenancy Act and it didn't say that I need to pay the first month rent. It says you need to pay the deposit, which is 50% of, well, cannot be more than 50% of the first month's rent. So, and then this whole thing was suspicious based on how she didn't want anybody to view the property. She was asking me to make the deposit plus the first month's rent. And I was telling her I'm not willing to make these payments if I cannot send someone to view the property. And I was like, if somebody else is interested in the property, you can go ahead and rent the property. And then I went on her page, on her Facebook page. And when I looked at her page, she has been posting the same property for the past probably 10 days. Like every day she posted that property. And when I was reading the comments under the property, under her post about the property, it was actually scam, because persons were having the same problem just like myself. She was actually trying to scam me. And I was like, oh my God. Guys, please don't get scammed out of desperation. I know we need somewhere to live when we come to Canada, and sometimes we make stupid mistake, but it doesn't make sense. You're gonna, because of desperation, you send somebody your money to secure housing, and when you come here to Canada, you don't have anywhere to sleep because you were scammed. So you have to be careful out there. You really, really, really have to be careful. And that is a reason why I strongly suggest that you get housing on campus, or if your school provide assistance in finding off-campus housing, like my school, like I said, they post a lot of verified properties, or you can do Airbnb, or if you have someone that can view the place for you, then fine. But outside of that, do not send your money to anybody for nowhere that you haven't verified. So you can't say I didn't warn you, so I'm just sharing my experience with you. So the process is of finding accommodation is really hassling, and it's stressful, like really, really stressful. I was having sleepless nights when I looked at the time was boiling down for me to come, and I wasn't able to find anywhere. And it was about 1 week to be exact that I saw a post on Kijiji, and I reached out to the person, and luckily she didn't ask me to pay any deposit. She was like, you don't have to pay anything until you get here. And then she was like, oh, you can send me your flight information and I would pick you up from the airport, because I'm living only 7 minutes away from the airport. And then I was like, oh my God. And then my husband was saying to me that this sounds too good to be true. And he was like, what if it is human trafficking? I was like, oh my God. I just prayed and I went, and I was like, yeah. And it was good. She came, she picked me up and everywhere, and it was good. So, you know, you have good people out there same way, but you're not sure when you're gonna end up in the wrong place or the wrong person's hand. So be careful, be careful. I can't stress it anymore. But when you're trying to find somewhere, it is best to see if you can get short-term rental. Don't mind me, guys, I'm looking at my house space. Short-term rental, because sometimes you might get somewhere to live with someone and it's not working out, like cultural differences, like the place is not being kept tidy, like you have a lot of issues, like you're not able to sleep because people are making noise and all of that. So if you're in a short-term lease arrangement, then you can always live out your 3-6 months and then you find somewhere else. When you make long-term arrangements, it is more difficult because you cannot leave. If you leave, you're gonna have to pay those months rent. So try to get something short-term. But if you cannot get anything short-term, I will say take whatever you can get and work with it. As you quit, 1 year will run off like nothing. So I hope I was able to provide you guys with some information as it relates to finding accommodation. And I also hope, another thing for tours, some of the when you're looking accommodation, you can also ask the landlords to do virtual tour. So some of them do accommodate virtual tour, and they do a little bit of interviewing and stuff like that. But yeah, start searching before it's too late. And I hope I was able to give you some information that will be useful to you when you're about to come to Canada, whether now or in the future. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so as yet. Bye.